Does my smile confuse you, or remind you you're here?
Welcome to Does My Smile Confuse You? Once again, I'm here with Rain. And we are going to, I'm going to title this show because I had 100 shows written. They're short little titles that remind me of what I want to talk about. But of course, in the morning when I see Rain, she'll tell me something and it'll take me in a whole different direction. And that's the spontaneity of our show, which I love because, as you're all aware, that's a lost art, spontaneity in our society. So it's actually one of the things we're going to eventually get to. But the first title of this show is the geography of you. The reason I like that title is I've always been thinking that I am Lebanese and Italian. My mother was Lebanese and my dad was Italian, and we're having, all these little problems with immigration, with this, with that. Well, again, we're all immigrants, at least here in America, and probably pretty much everywhere else. So I want you to understand that comic sense is embracing your fellow man, woman, and most importantly, learning to love yourself. So we're going to get to all of that. But if you just take something very fundamental, just imagine the geography of where you were born. If you were born in another part of the world and you read, let's say, the Quran, and you ate a certain food, and that's where you spent your youth. You were programmed, conditioned by your parents, the books you read, the environment. We were raised here, let's say, in the West, Los Angeles, this and that. We were raised by certain books and our environment, food, diet, all these things come into play. So just imagine if you move from your geography, let's say when you're 15 or 30, and you have to adapt and adjust to that, you're going to need a tool, and that tool is comic sense. Is a sense of humor. It's something you can take wherever you go so you can understand or listen to other people and other cultures. So that's why this show is most important, because nobody is espousing what we're selling. I do like to say we're selling it. And I digress for just a moment, and I'll come back to the geography, because I was watching, again, I delved into YouTube about 4 or 5 months ago. I see some really articulate, brilliant people talking that actually know what they're talking about. And so we're selling comic sense over common sense, but here's the piece of irony, and I do hope you know what irony is, that comic sense eventually and ultimately is the ultimate common sense. Because it's going to lead you back to things like reason, logic. It makes sense to you. You mature. You learn that maybe you had improper education, that you were programmed by your family and people that you love and continue to love. But we're trying to open the human mind. So it's not easy, but it's really our last chance. And in the parasitic mind, which is this gentleman, Gad Saad. So I'm using him because geographically, he and his family are from the other part of the world. And he talks about how wherever there is objective truth, there is satire. So he's a little concerned that people don't understand satire, humor, comedy. And his book, he talks also, and here's a quote from Thomas Jefferson: "Ridicule is the only weapon which can be used against unintelligible propositions. Ideas must be distinct before reason can act upon them. So this idea about humor is universal. It's, as we compared in the past show, humor and music, they're finding out, are more synonymous and trigger endorphins and many different chemicals in us. So music is a universal language, and we all know that cuts through any kind of culture problems when people are dancing, singing, just like food. Anthony Bourdain proved that when he traveled and he showed how food brought people together, even when he was over in Israel and he was in different parts of that country, how food brought the different factions of people together, and they could converse and talk while having a meal. So we're trying to use this comic sense as an alternative to all the PC and all the insane stuff we're going through. So let's delve into something. It's called politics, because we're trying to do the politics of being a human being. So forgive me if I don't make you laugh, but you're going to laugh yourself just at some of these quotes regarding politics and politicians. I've never voted, ever. Never voted, because me and my friends, we knew what politicians were, whether it's on a, city level, state level. It's all pretty grotesque, and we know what happens once you get in a system. You don't want to lose your tenure. You succumb to everything around you and your power seat. So we'd all like to vote for the best man, but he's never a candidate. Okay, so therein lies the problem. Every politician, and now what's going on, that we're finding out people, I'm hearing stories of Obama, all these various people, Clinton, all these people that maybe you voted for, admired, we're seeing they're not everything they were cracked up to be, or we were hoping or thought they were. Besides, they're all puppets anyhow, just like our president. George Carlin covered all of that. He just said the power brokers that run the show, they put a clown in office. His name is Trump. It's fine. You love him. I get it. He's a clown. He makes you laugh. That's wonderful, because as the ship is going down, and the Titanic did sink, and we're going down. We've been on a steady decline. So I'm just another one of these idiots trying to have a voice to see if we could wake up society. And this guy, I love him. I saw him just recently, Gad. He has obviously a sense of humor, and he was just talking, I'll read it later, why he said the West is on a terrible place because of what's going on in the world. And we're trying to open the human mind, open up your heart and soul. And all these colleges, the top colleges and what have you, are closing the American mind. So, guys, this is really important, because I was born and raised in Los Angeles. I'm an American, third generation, Lebanese, Italian. So, trust me, the world was a lot of fun. And it's a lot more fun when you have free speech and you can say and emote and feel and just get everything out. And I had friends that were, as I said, I think a couple weeks ago in the show, I grew up in the old expression, if you want to get smarter, hang out with people smarter than you. I had no problem. I grew up in the Palisades. I barely made it out of high school. I detested school. I hated it. I never had a decent teacher, one of the problems. But all my friends went to Harvard, Yale, Stanford, and everything. So I was around really bright people when actually, when they were going to college, and this is in a very crazy period of time, in the 60s and 70s, which it was a whole different period where they were still trying to open people's minds. It didn't mean they weren't being programmed to get their particular PhD, MBA, all of this, to fit them into a box to go out and make their millions of dollars or whatever it was they were doing. So we're talking about a subject that I really hate, which is politics, but we're also talking about the geography of you and where you were born. So if you could just imagine that you were programmed, you ate that food, you read those books, and if you lived in a different culture for any time, you would see and feel, and you might open up your mind to, I thought this, I heard this, I felt this, but I was wrong. And so I embraced all types of people, because last podcast we did, we call them chapters, it was about the fun house, my parents' house, where anything and everyone that walked or crawled, every creature, every ethnicity, every age, they came and they broke bread. We danced, we sang, we played music. So I was completely spoiled in embracing all kinds of people. And it was my sense of humor that developed over time that allowed me to do so, because I heard and felt so many different ways of thinking, and that was such a luxury to me. So you're going to go through a period of confusion where you may not understand everything that's being thrown in your face, and you may be locked into a dogmatic attitude, which you really don't want to be, to where you only believe one thing, one way. That's not fun. So we're gonna go into deeper water to really get at this. So this show is a little more serious. It's just insane. Forgive me for pausing, but I'm looking for different stuff to help me explain why we're so impossibly locked in.
Let's try to say less, okay?
Yeah, I hate saying it's a pause. My mind is stalling while I'm looking, which we talked about last week. Pay attention, people. You probably say this, especially if you're in college, like whatever. So we're liking one another to death, but that's the mind stalling because it's not coming from a real place.
It's like it's programmed. So because it's not, you know what I mean? It's programmed.
Well, yeah.
So it's not coming from it's not you really speaking. That's why you're stalling. Like it's like
Yeah. Yeah, and I heard very intelligent people, such as myself, for a real stupid person, which I was most of my life. That's how I learned to become a little wiser. Humor and laughter at oneself. That's true humanity. We're trying to sell self-awareness, self-knowledge, and
with humor.
Yeah, and I was reading in Gad's book. He was talking about self-loathing, and of course the woke people and all of this insanity that we're living through. And in his book, he just talks about the Western culture and basically the collapse of it. And again, it's being pushed in colleges that you guys, any college people out there, you're getting improper messages. You're not going to be able to go out in the world. You're not going to be able to protect yourself by not saying what's in your heart and soul. You're not going to be able to do it. He talks about deception. They're using deception. People are really false in their catering and trying to be kind to people that are unlike them because they want to be politically correct, but it's a they have a hidden agenda. So I haven't jumped into his book yet, but you can watch people at work and see for yourself exactly what you believe to be the truth of what they're saying. But then you also have to do your own homework.
Yeah.
You have to do your own investigation.
Well, it's crucial.
Yeah.
I believe I was thinking about that, where this is what's happening. Things get easily spread out, and everybody starts believing it and giving it as it is the truth without even them doing any kind of research.
Right.
So then you're validating the truth. I mean, something that looks like
their
the truth.
right?
And I think it's crucial that
Yeah.
everybody, before you really take it in and say, I believe in this,
Yeah.
I think you should do a little bit of homework, do a little bit of research, and kind of, I mean, it's out there. You can go, you can access your computer and all the information.
Yeah.
Don't just, hear something and say, oh, okay, yes, that's what it is.
And you do have to find, that's right, Rain. You do have to find the right people. So let's talk about something that's really, honestly, truly important. And this will make you laugh, because the funniest thing I've ever heard of all the PC stuff, whatever you want to call it, that they're throwing at us, the funniest thing of all is there's no difference between men and women. I mean,
Well, there's the rumors that there is an agenda, and that they want to just, the people are controlling the whole circus. They're just trying to mix everything up. So woman, man, woman. So it's kind of part of that deceiving, the truth, and being that darkness.
yeah. Well, okay, so
So you're right. There are.
So we're not, this particular show, we're not going to be as humorous, but listen to the great comics out there, and you're going to see what they're making fun of. But again, there is a huge difference, happily, between men and women.
Happily.
And biology, it may all be biology, guys, I don't know. But we do know environment, your behavior can evolve. You can overcome a lot of your biology, even if you're fighting it by changing and opening up your heart and soul. But biology is a big thing of it. And we lost control. God, I keep saying I just hate that. I'm sorry, I have to pause to make fun of myself, because I'm just struggling, because I had all these plans to do these other shows, but then I started reading Gad's book. I just opened it 2 pages, and it made me so ill just seeing another book written by a wise man that has a comic bent to him, and he wrote and said things that, of course, people probably wanted to misinterpret because they didn't see or understand the satire behind it. It's like Sacha Baron Cohen. If you watch Borat and how great, Sacha, who I got to meet a couple times, was one of the bravest human beings ever. He goes out and exposes just how straight, how rigid, how confined we are in our little prisms. There's one show where he goes to this family dinner, and they're all very proper, and he asked to use the bathroom. This is so funny. He goes to the bathroom, and these people are so stiff and they're so rigid. He goes up, acts like he didn't know how to use the toilet, and he comes back with a bag of poop that he brought to them to show to them, and that was the end of the thing. I mean, he takes it that far to make a point on, guys, can you not laugh at yourself and see? So he exposes. satire and people that go out there and do, and he keeps a straight face. This guy is amazing. I mean, everything he does, watch comedies, watch great, sometimes to go forward, I think to move forward as a society. Another thing I'm enjoying on YouTube, I went backwards. You have to go backwards. I was watching Laurel and Hardy, W.C. Fields, the Marx Brothers. I was watching guys fucking up, doing the stupidest shit, failing at everything, whether they're trying to fix a car or whatever it is that they're doing, they completely do everything wrong. And I know all about that because I was completely inept with my hands regarding fixing a car, fixing a toilet, changing a light bulb, all that stuff. So I had to laugh at myself at the things I can't do. You have to embrace the things that you can't do, you're not good at. You're just admit to yourself in certain arenas, you're a moron. And if you can embrace the moron, the fool, the clown in your own behavior, and if you want to correct it, great. If you can't, at least learn to laugh at it. And that way you'll have a much happier, more fun life, which is what I want.
Well, and that's how I feel about my life. And it's interesting because you're mentioning this, and I'm thinking that every time that I kind of made a mistake, or it's been called a mistake, or where I have felt, where you feel silly, I never really felt bad about it. I've always understood that it's part of life. The only reason why I will feel bad about it? Because other people will tell me it was bad.
There you go.
But I never did. So it was only hurting me when people were pointing at me that you were wrong. But when I was experiencing it, I never felt bad because I understood it's part of the process.
That's actually a really important point. So
you made me realize this just now.
Well, we're going to do a show in a couple weeks. I met a friend of Rain, and the title of it is going to be "A Friend is Someone Who Stabs You in the Chest." So, excuse me. And by the way, I'm doing this show while I'm dying of this incredible flu. But I told Rain, I said, well, I want to do it because I do my best work when I'm near death. So actually, that's not even a joke. That's going to be another show down the road, near-death experiences. Think of all the people. You want to develop your sense of humor? Go out there and live some extreme, insane behavior as I did. And I'll digress now to tell you why my near-death experience is because I had motorcycles and cars, the fastest motorcycles and cars of the 60s and 70s. And in those days, we could drive, we didn't pass in the right lane, we passed over the double yellow line. And when you're doing 140 miles an hour on a motorcycle down Pacific Coast Highway, by the way, we didn't wear helmets, full leather. We were in shorts because we were all pro volleyball players. Go-aheads. Can you imagine just a pair of shorts? We didn't even wear goggles or sunglasses sometimes. So we were just insane. So I survived. I should have been dead by 22, 24, 25. We had the fastest cars. Here's a humorous story. We'd get like 6, 7 speeding tickets in 1 month. Maybe they put you on assigned risk, what they call assigned risk, and you paid your little tickets, but they didn't take away your license, they didn't put you in jail and all this stuff. You get a ticket now once, and by the way, I'm not proud of this, but half of the time we were drunk or high, which is also, this is how stupid you can be when you're young. And we were really stupid. For all these smart guys I told you, but they had outlets, and their outlets, our biggest thing was speed, because there's nothing like an open throttle for real freedom. You want to feel freedom? Open throttle. It's one of my titles. I love it. Just open that bike up and I did do one thing right. You know, girls, all the hotties wanted to ride on the back of the motorcycle. No, because if I'm going down, if I'm going to kill myself, I didn't want to bring anybody else with me. So at least I was considerate for being a full-blown lunatic.
And how fun you're telling this story and you're looking through the window
Yeah,
of PCH.
I'm looking down. We're looking down right now on PCH. So a friend is someone that stabs you in the chest. You've got to learn who your true friends are. And I'm going to tell you something. A true friend will tell you and make fun of you. And Gad talks about what goes on, the deception that's being played on Muslims and all of our phobias to this person, that kind of person. No. I met in the Palisades about, 35 years ago, Persians, Afghanis, a bunch of people moved up into the Palisades. Well, this was my hometown. And I was about 25, 30, I don't know. I was about 10 years older than my friends were all in high school. They were friends. We met at a coffee shop and they saw me reading and they came up and started talking to me. And I'd say, eventually I get to, where are you from? And they'd tell me, oh, I'm Persian, I'm Afghani, I said, oh, you're a shish kebab. Oh, you're a falafel. And I knew immediately they started smiling and laughing. They didn't get offended. They didn't get mad. And that's what made us instant friends, because they knew that I'm not being racist, prejudiced. I'm not concealing anything.
Yeah.
I just made up, it has nothing to do with falafel, shish kebab, with anything. And they just laughed. And we became really good friends. And by the way, they also came here and thought with their money that they could change all the laws with their building their homes and this and that. And I said, guys, look, if I went to your country, I would adapt to your culture and respect your rules and laws. I said, you got to do the same thing here. It's really true. So it's amazing you can strike up a friendship by getting in someone's face because you like them. And it turned out, man, I'll tell you, Ahmad, Artie, they were all, Nader, I loved all these guys. They were my friends for a long time, and they were all really bright. And they had more culture than we did. Americans, you talk about them, no, they have history. And their food. We had food at common ground. We had a lot of stuff. And I was an athlete. None of them were athletes, but I took them to play basketball, baseball, football, introduced them to everybody in the Palisades because they felt uncomfortable when they first arrived here.
So you wanted to,
Excuse me.
the reason what you mentioned the word geographically, is
Geography.
how it influences, right? Like it's in your psychology of your way of being.
Yes.
So your point here is trying to say, think about how if you were born just in a different place, your whole belief system will be different.
Correct.
Therefore, how can you take whatever you believe in now as the absolute truth?
Yeah.
Since it's based just where you were born.
If you just start with that simple thought, you'll see how it's easy to rethink. We're really teaching people how to think. When we say comedy is for those who think, tragedy is for those who feel. So we're all feeling human beings. But when it's time to think and reflect, we're giving you a tool. I had to come home every day I was stupid. Whether I broke my arm, tore up my knee, in that time of reflection and my stupid behavior because I was taking, and doing just insane stuff, I had to beat up on myself. And again, I've said it on an earlier show that I discovered very early on, I am my own worst enemy. And you better know this. I don't care who is listening to this show. You are your own worst enemy. You are not going to meet an enemy in any other country. It's even in your own family, as insane as your own family might be, and I'll get into how insane my family was, but on the flip side, they were great. So all I could do is take their great parts, their great stuff, and lose the rest and use humor to push it aside. So this is a very important show. I don't want you to lose track that it's not important. It's a tool, it's a skill. Humor and comic sense is something you can go out anywhere in the world and have fun. And what I want is when I walk into a restaurant or a bar, I don't want attitude, I don't want all this stuff. Try and walk into any bar, try this for a while. Any bar, restaurant, school, wherever you're going with no agenda. Just walk in the room with the idea of playing and interacting with people. And watch how uncomfortable a lot of other people are, why you're totally comfortable because you don't want anything. I mean, just think of that simple philosophy. With no agenda, remember we wanted to form no agenda productions? No. Children come into the room, one object, play. And so I spent my whole life looking for playmates. Every day I'd collect somebody to go play softball, go play basketball. That's all I had to do. And by the way, I'm going to end with this because we're going to talk a lot about it. Every child should be, another title of our future show, Let Me Raise Your Children. Every child should be in arts and sports at any and all levels to learn how to socially, emotionally interact, how to learn, fight, argue, scream, kick, everything. Arts and sports for all children, you'd have a very different society. And now,
You can pack Comic Sense in your soul and take it with you everywhere you go.
when did you come up with that?
Keep the change.
Oh, God. Goodbye.
I don't laugh because life is easy. I laugh because I see the mind can sell you stories, then charge you rent to be free. They call it normal to panic, to worship the loudest fear. But a thought becomes a prison the moment you hold it near. So I ask one honest question, not to win, just to wake. Is this truth I'm believing, or just memory and ache? I use humor like a flashlight in a room full of certain lies. Comic sense isn't comedy, it's sight with a smile in its eyes. Critical thinking is mercy, consciousness is breath and release. If you can laugh at the story, you can finally step into peace. Sometimes I'm quiet and listening to a child asking, is love safe? I don't fix him with answers, I stay and give him space. So laugh, not to escape, but to see what's always been true. Nothing real is against you, and life is quietly loving you. Does my smile confuse you, or remind you you're here? Does my smile confuse you, or